If I could, everyone, I'd like to call this meeting to order. If you please, accompany me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, good evening. Our October 10th, 2016 meeting. With that said, the approval of the agenda, please.
Mr. President, can we have the real-life life insurance to the agenda, please?
We will still abide by our attorney's advice and will not talk about that at our meeting. With that said,
I'd like to add the bid for a salt spreader.
we'll do
Under
that.
new business.
So that'll be number 5 at this point.
And we were going to remove number
3, I believe it is.
3.
Number 3 is a resolution to appoint to the Planning Commission. We want to take and pull that off. We'll do that after the new council is seated. It makes more sense. We'll appoint somebody after every new council. So we'll strike number 3. Anything else, Mrs. Stitch?
No.
Anybody else? If not, I'm looking for a motion to accept this evening's agenda.
Make a motion, we accept the agenda for October 10th, 2016, with changes made.
I'll support. Roll call, please.
Horton,
Yes.
McCaffrey. Yes. Maury,
Yes.
Vic,
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. The approval of the minutes from a regular council meeting, September 12th, 2016. Discussion. Further comments, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the regular council meeting dated September 12, 2016, as presented.
Support.
When you're ready.
Horton,
Yes.
McCaffrey. Yes. Maury,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. The treasurer's report is the purple sheet. Discussion.
Make a motion, we accept the purple sheet, October 10th, 2016.
I'll support it.
Horton,
Yes.
McCaffrey. Yes. Maury,
Yes.
Vic,
No.
Baldwin.
Yes. The bills and transfer. Any questions?
Mr. President, I mean, on the back sheet, probably butchered his name, but Tennyson and Dutton, for $4,500, what was that expense for? Who was that?
I believe that was
That was the approval that you gave for the person that did the concrete driveways.
Thank you.
I'll explain it though. His bid was higher than that, and what we did with, we got the concrete from Ken's Ready Mix. It was just easier and more apt to get a delivery when we needed it. So the $2,279.26 and the $4571.53 added together is the amount of his bill that he submitted, or the bid that he submitted.
Any other comments? Now I'm looking for a motion to accept the bills and transfers.
Make a motion, we accept the bills and transfers from 09/01/2016 to 9/30/2016.
Support.
Horton,
Yes.
McCaffrey. Yes. Maury,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Brings us to our first session of the public comments. Please keep in mind that this is agenda items only. Try to keep it brief, please. Okay.
Bob Maskey, Schuman Drive. I had a question, a couple questions in regards to unfinished business, line item 8, the land division application in Eagle Road for future holdings. At the last planning meeting, we were talking about the lot size, and one of the residents looked it up on Atlas and stated that it was 4.1 acres. I believe at the previous council, it was stated at 5+ acres, and the real estate is marketing it at 6.8 acres. So I was wondering, what is the legal size of that lot, and what are the legal lot divisions that they're asking for?
Please go ahead.
The lot size that they have to subdivide into are 1 acre lots. And if council approves the land division, it would be contingent upon our engineers reviewing the size of the lot.
So right now, the council will be voting on undetermined size of property divided into 4 undetermined lots.
It would be conditioned upon the legal descriptions coming back adequately.
Okay. I had 2 follow-up questions. I noticed there was some talk about the water and sewer. Would those lots be hooked up to the city, or would they be septic and I apologize, I wasn't at the last meeting, I was away on business.
And we will get to that.
But you will vote before I have a chance to talk, though. So now's my chance to talk.
It depends on the council whether or not they allow them to extend the sewer system to accommodate all 4 lots,
And
or 2 lots.
if that happens, who would bear the burden of those costs?
The developer.
The developer. Okay, and my
For
last
those
question.
lots.
Thank you for your time. My last question is, will that have any other implications on the residents on Schuman Drive? Would they be forced to get into city water or something?
Not at this point. It doesn't extend down there.
Okay.
It stops at Schuman and Eagle.
Thank you for your time.
Typically, I do not respond during public comment, and we will be going over this. We allow it, will be hopefully explained a little better for you later on. Please.
I tried to catch you earlier before the meeting, so I didn't have to come up here, but I was running late. It's about the agendas and the minutes on our website. Again, the planning commission information is not up. There's like 1 month for the entire year so far of 2016. I wanted to check that to see who's been voting for what, and it's unavailable for me to research. If we don't get this corrected and it keeps updated, there's going to be FOIAs sent in, and then now you've got the attorney doing FOIAs, and it's just unnecessary. So if we could really make sure that it's in someone's job description, make sure that they know how to do it, and it's done accurately and timely, that would be fantastic. And then at the end of our last meeting, Mr. Baldwin, you and I were discussing on the minutes, the public comment section where it's being eliminated, who's saying what, how you're responding, how other council members are responding. But at the last planning meeting that I went to, I do have those minutes from coming to that meeting. I noticed that they're very detailed, and we've got the same staff taking minutes for those. I would like that changed. I would like everything accurate across the board, because we need to be transparent for the community, and people might not be able to attend one meeting and have the question that somebody asked during public comment the month prior, and you may have answered that, but they're not gonna know, and then we're bringing it back up again. So I would like, as you and I discussed, that to be fixed and redone, and you said you guys had a vote on that because they're employees and they can do what they want as far as that goes. So if you guys have them do that, that would be great. Thank you.
Anyone else? The unfinished business, Parks and Rec Committee. And Mrs. Sturgeon, if you wanted to take and we just go over this, and Shannon, if you wanted to interject when she's done, that would be good, maybe.
Okay. I wasn't at the meetings, so Shannon.
I didn't know if you showed up, prior to, cause I got there right on time. The Parks and Rec, they delivered, the signs, the park rule signs and the park hour signs. Those, look very, very, very nice. They're, I'm not exactly 100% certain when they were gonna be mounted or displayed. They were talking about, having it where they were kinda in like a little cubby type thing, so people couldn't pull them, like readily pull them off. We also talked about, the budget meetings and ensuring that the Parks and Rec had a line item on the budget for next budget meetings, so when things did need to get done, they could, you know, the Parks and Rec would submit a plan as to what they see in the next fiscal year and project expenses on those projects, present them to council, get a yay or nay on it to have a line on the budget for funding for those projects. If in fact they come to fruition, if in fact there is funding for the Parks and Rec. They discussed the accomplishments of the Parks and Rec as of last week. Where they, you know, it was asked to form a committee, so a committee was formed. They studied, advised, and tweaked and sent the Parks and Rec master plan onto council, enabling for it to be completed, reviewing and commented on the park shed plans. They reviewed the Parks and Rec rules in the charter, submitted small tweaks to update them, and they should be included in the next charter update. They created attractive signs, which I just discussed with the hours, which also allows for local law enforcement to enforce the rules of the park. I guess some people, I don't live by the park, but apparently there have been some instances where people have been there after, well, what the neighbors to the park consider to be after hours. There were people in the park, and the police could do nothing because there were no hours, there were no rules, there was nothing to enforce. So there was, by having rules there now, at least the local authorities will have something to go by. They got the dumpster out of the park. They repaired the basketball hoop, which was broken, which now is, I guess, Angie and some of the people on the Parks and Rec Committee have been commended from the kids there because they can play basketball again. They pushed out for completion of the electrical system, which now there's electricity back in the park, and restoration of the water supply. They sent an official letter in support for the proposal of the new county park on Eagle Road to the Department of Natural Resources back in July. In September, they sent a letter to support the Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund, promising to assist with the promotion of the new Eagle Road Park. And discussed, planned, and submitted request for the split rail fence, which is at the top of the hill off of Eagle Road, to protect the Eagle Road entrance to the park, which was accepted. And they've nearly completed the committee description and mission statements to define the committee, which they will submit to council for approval. So there's an identifiable role for the committee instead of just kind of guessing as to what they have, what the authority is there. I think we're having our regularly scheduled meeting next month, I do believe. So that's what I know so far.
Thank you, Mrs. Caffrey. Mrs. Sid, would you like to add anything else?
They came in the other day. DPW will be working with Angie and some of the other people to put the signs in the appropriate place. We're going tomorrow to get the split rail fence, and that should be up probably before last week of the month.
And I think,
Depending on what happens in the
and I think council gave them $500 to do it. It came in way under that at $300 and some dollars. I wasn't given the exact figure. It was mentioned $300 and some dollars. So it was under budget.
If anyone would like to help put up that fence, you could, Mrs. McCafferty and or Angie, either one, call the office and talk to Mrs. Sidge. I'm sure that they would be very receptive if anyone would like to help.
Question, Mr. President?
Please.
Just for clarification, under where the review of the Parks and Recs rules in the charter, and it says which may be included in the next charter update, are you actually referring to the next ordinance update? Because it was my understanding that those are ordinance and they're not actually in the charter. Because I asked that question if we were...
It would be an ordinance update, but Mr. McKinney, when I talked to him, that they're in there in different places. It doesn't necessarily have to be updated because they are village ordinances. They're just combined on the park rules. I mean, there's no shooting guns, there's a noise ordinance, but yes, they are ordinances.
Thank you.
Anything else? Other reports from our street administrator?
Well, I was off, they got the core rating done, salt come in this week. The big truck is in the garage, it's been broke down for over a week now. Both alternators went out with it, and it has a lot to do with the transmission. They thought that something was going wrong with the transmission, so they pulled it off the road, and Matt called in, Ethan said, well, shut it off and maybe it'll reprogram, because everything is programmable in that. Well, it didn't start, but they found both, they get the alternators on, then they'll go from there and see what, hopefully that's the only problem. It has two alternators, and if it's not getting juice to the transmission, it's all computerized. You know how those are, push button transmissions, and we're going from there. They're getting ready for winter, and I'm sure they'll be cleaning a lot of catch basins in the next couple of weeks when the leaves finally start coming down. They're all gonna come along. That's all I have, because I've been out of the loop for 3 weeks or longer.
Thank you. 9/11.
Nothing.
Waste and water?
I don't have anything at this point for that. And I did not receive a sheriff's department breakdown, although I'm sure everybody is aware of the misfortunate attack that happened on the pathway behind the school on Friday. I don't have any more information other than what was on the news station. I believe it's a black Tahoe with tinted windows and aftermarket wheels.
Yeah, they do have a police sketch out there now as well.
They do that now?
Yes. Yeah.
It's important that we're the eyes and ears of the community. If you see something that's suspicious, call. You're in our community too. With that, number 3 is code enforcement.
The lot of weed ordinance issues were taken care of. That's over now. As of October 1st, Dave's been working on signs and different things in the community. Nothing major right now.
Dutch Road. Barn.
The barn, I looked for them in there this weekend. There's a company coming in and taking a lot of it down, trying to save a lot of that lumber in there, so they had a dozer in there cleaned around it so they can get up to it and start taking it down.
The administrative Halloween, right around the corner.
Just a reminder to everyone that council has set the Halloween hours from 6 to 7:30. And the township fire department will be having a costume contest like they always do after Halloween hours. Is it all right if I explain the difference between a public hearing and comments? Yes?
Please.
Okay. There was something brought up about writing down who says what. The difference, when you're having a public hearing, whether it's for community development, for land division, or rezoning, you have to write down what everybody has to say. We had a training session regarding public comment, and it is not a requirement that we write down what everybody in the audience has to say. We're trying to where it's Pat taking them, Tracy, me, you're trying to paraphrase what somebody says, and that gets you in more trouble than not. So after we had our meeting in the spring, I believe, we no longer write down what everybody says unless it's a public hearing.
Mr. President, I'd comment on that. I attended that same meeting, and I don't believe that there was a motion from this council for any directions to change how the business was previously done. I liked how the old meetings was written, where you had an understanding of what the public was saying. I'm not asking for a whole paragraph, but, you know, you can paraphrase what somebody is trying to make a point on or a discussion.
I did look into that in the past, and it is the clerk's notes, and they're entitled to do it any way they want. And I also checked with the township law, and they kind of agreed with that it is the clerk's notes. And now that can be changed if we want to do that. You know, we can make them do that, but it is their liberty to do the notes as they please. Anything else?
I don't have anything, thank you.
The sidewalks,
Nothing.
attorney.
We met with Mr. McKinney today to talk about the letter that will be written to him. He's going to work on it, and hopefully we'll get a resolution to that in the near future
I'm sorry.
regarding the salt water.
Jackie, can you repeat that? I heard you met with Mr. McKinney and then the thing kicked on.
We met with Mr. McKinney to talk about the letter that council has directed him to write to New Holland and Meyer, and hopefully we'll have a resolution pretty soon regarding that salt spreader.
Thank you.
We're requesting a refund.
Brown Energy Corporation. I'm sorry, but I don't know your name.
Rio, Cheryl Evinger, and I am here basically as a result of the efforts of Michelle Imbroni, who is the school superintendent, and one of our clients, one of our natural gas clients. And so she had the idea of bringing together the usage of Atlas Township and the village of Goodrich in conjunction with the high school to reduce costs. What I did, oh good, I made enough copies for everybody. This is basically what our contracts look like, and this is based on historic gas usage. We can't predict future savings because we can't predict the weather. What we can do is we can guarantee a NYMEX plus rate. Right now, that would be NYMEX, which is where the New York Stock Exchange closes on natural gas, plus 79 cents. The schools currently have 65 cents, so I'm missing something.
And do you have one more?
Yes.
Did you
Sorry about that.
Okay. And then-
Two more?
They're all the same.
Yes, they are all the same. They are all the same.
And
So-
Brown.
The schools were able to take advantage of a lower rate because their decision-making process is different, and they were able to jump on it earlier this year. What I am suggesting is a contract that would go from now until March of 2017. It would be NYMEX plus 79 cents, and then going forward, we can roll in with what the schools have, which is NYMEX plus 65 cents. So, Rio Energy is a licensed broker in the state of Michigan, been around for about I want to say 6 years. And what makes us a little bit different is that we're not an energy company, we're a brokerage firm, so we work with a few different utility providers. So what we do is we shop it and we provide it. And school district, I've only just been a client for 3 years now. Any questions?
I was hoping that Michelle would get here. She had
She's in
a
Bruce.
site meeting at the school, so she may come in a minute. She had this idea that it would be a good community partnership as well as to save, the school's already receiving quite a savings from using this company. The village, if I'm reading this right, on the past year would, if we were with this company, we would have saved, correct me if I'm wrong, Cheryl, about $641.34. Correct?
Right,
Again,
and,
you can't predict, what the weather's gonna be. If it's not so cold in the winter, you're not gonna use as much gas. This is for the DPW, the village office, and the ladies' library. When I presented this to you before, what we were waiting for to see whether or not it was worth our while to participate in this program, and for $600, the attorney has to review the contracts, which should maybe be a couple $100, if that. They're pretty straightforward contract. So I would say there isn't any negative about doing it. I've talked to Shirley and I've talked to Michelle, and if you want to move forward with it and save the village residents a little bit of money, that's what Cheryl's here for, just to answer your questions if you have any, and we would have to, if they want to go forward with it, approve it on condition of the review of the attorney.
Right. Last comment I would like to make is that the village currently is in a choice program with volunteer energy. So that is part of what's going on right now. With volunteer, it's strictly month to month. So it's kind of a, blank check, not quite, but it is month to month.
We didn't have to sign a contract with that, so we tested it out.
Right. So as month-to-month arrangements usually go, it's supply and demand. Cost goes up as it gets colder, and we probably won't have a winter as mild as we did last year.
I doubt it.
Yeah, yeah. So the savings will probably be a little bit more substantial than this, but this is based on last year's usage. So, any questions or comments or?
How much time do we have before we have to enter this? Time strain?
Ideally, for a November start, it would be good to get it in by Friday. This
I don't
Friday.
think the turnaround would be that quick.
No, I don't feel that's to be possible. Number one, we want to review it, just receive.
What do you anticipate turnaround time to be?
Well, I would have to get with the village attorney. Hopefully, he's working on some other things for us, plus he has his own business.
Right,
Probably within maybe by the 20th, or at least a week and a half, the earliest, I would say.
Okay, alrighty, well, I think the pricing should still be good, however, it's the whole supply demand thing, so, anyway, then in that case, the only thing that would change on your paperwork would be the NYMEX plus cents amount, and then the projected savings would go down a little bit, so.
I mean, I can check with them and find out how long it would take. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. With a big contract.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need a motion for this to go to the lawyer to look at the contract?
Yeah, sure. If you wanted to go forward with it, you make a motion, you can make a motion to approve working with Rio Energy Corporation, conditions on the review of the village attorney.
You bet.
If we can't get the approval from our attorney in, for a few weeks, is there gonna be a dramatic price increase for a month?
You know what, it shouldn't be, it might even stay the same, but I can't predict the future, and I really can't predict the stock market.
I understand that, but you're also advising that the first contract would only go out until March of 17?
Correct, and then it would go to the lower price that the school system currently enjoys. So this is NYMEX plus 79, and the schools are on NYMEX plus 65.
And then there'd be another contract to be signed once the 7th or 17th is up.
Correct, and that is in everybody's packet. So the initial would be 4 months.
And is that because the school's contract only goes through March as well?
No, the school was able to, their decision-making process is different. They were able to do this a few months ago, and so they're
Okay.
with the 65 because, again, supply and demand, the cost of gas is lower in the summer than it is fall and winter.
And why would it be that we couldn't piggyback off the school's contract now?
Because the gas is pre-purchased and put in
Oh,
storage.
okay,
So
okay.
it's stored at consumers, it's, but it is pre-purchased based on historic usage.
Do you have any calculations, Jackie, on for a 4-month time frame, or was this for the whole current year?
What you have in front of you is last year. So it's from 7/1 of last year to 4 through 4/1 of this year. And we would have saved $641. It's my understanding the school is if we would have been able to get this completed or been aware of it, and we started when the school contract started, then we would be on the same contract as them, correct?
Right, and that ideally is
And
what
that's
can
what
happen in
they're
April.
offering us to be able to tie in for this shorter period of time that will still, correct me if I'm wrong, still save us some money, but it'll be a different contract.
Well, it gets you through the winter months too with some degree of certainty.
Comments?
This time. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. I mean, I'm all about saving money.
Yeah, the pro is the saving of the money, the con is you can't guarantee rates. The rates could be higher, and then we could end up paying more.
And if we gotta pay $200 for a renewal, which we're gonna have to do anyway, are we gonna save the money in that 4-month time?
He would be reviewing both contracts at the same time.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
identical.
Yeah.
Mr. Moore?
No. We could save a nickel or save a dime, I think you should give it a try. But, today, after all, it is their money, and we pay taxes here too, so it's our money, it's everybody's money. And,
Mr. Horton?
No, I don't really think, I think we need to see how it's gonna work out. Sounds to me like it should work out pretty good. Save a few dollars, that sort of thing.
It's only until March, I mean, it's hopefully before it's part of the heating season.
Can we wait to sign the March contract until a later time, or are they tied together?
No,
I think
they're
that's one of the
not tied
questions.
together, it's just nice if they overlap, so one rolls into the other without the possibility of you being put back by consumers. I mean, you are in a choice program now, we did not have anything to do with that, you are with Volunteer Energy, but again, it's, it's month to month, so there's no guarantee there.
But if we wanted to see how it went for the next 3 months or so, can we then give the contract for March at that time? Or do you need both contracts at the same time? I think that's one of the concerns if I'm hearing, that they would feel better if they could see a couple months worth of what the price would be doing.
Yeah, I think we can probably do it that way, if they wanted to just look at it until March.
Well, going down that line, another question would be if we lock in for the March rates and going forward, whatever that rate may be, if it were to climb, during that fiscal year, would we still get the lower rate? And if it were to drop before that March date came up and we were set at a higher rate, would we be able to revert to the lower rate?
Well, it's based strictly on what the stock market cost of gas is per MCF. And so then there's something called an adder, which is the plus 79 cents or the plus 65 cents. So it's predicated on what the stock exchange is doing with gas. So this would be the maximum amount that is tacked on. For comparison or contrast, consumers is tariffed to be able to go up as high as $4.74.
Okay, and I guess what I'm asking for clarification, when you lock in on the contract, are you set at one rate, or are you saying that since it's dependent on the stock market, if you will, that the rate's gonna be a variable rate as it goes through?
Yeah, the variable portion is where the market closes, and then the non-variable rate is, or the non-variable portion is what is added on to that.
If gas is pre-purchased, why would there be an add-on? I mean, if I buy it today, like let's just, you know, I buy gas from Hamilton's Propane and I pay X amount of dollars for that. If their price goes up tomorrow, they're not gonna come back to me and say, hey, you owe me $300 more because the price of gas went up. I pre-bought it, so when you say gas is pre-purchased at one rate, why wouldn't the same apply here? Why is there an add-on?
Well, some of it is put in storage. I mean, they can't store 100% of the gas. What they do is, starting in April, they start injecting gas. It starts coming through pipelines and it is then stored. And then once it is depleted or starts getting used, then they go back out on the open market. But most of it is stored.
So with that, I'm sorry, Mr. President. So with that scenario, are we gonna see the most influx in price during the winter months? If that's gonna get our best judgment?
Yes. Yeah, you'll save the most in the winter, definitely.
Well, you're gonna save the most, but I'm saying that you're gonna see the most influx in prices during the winter months. Is the price gonna go up and
Usually.
normally higher in the winter months,
Yeah.
right, because of the usage?
Yes.
So, I mean, if we were to recommend this, that's gonna give you your idea within the next 4 months, if we wanna continue the contract.
Pending Mr. McKinney's.
Exactly.
Any other questions, Counselor? Mr. Caffrey?
I don't know, I mean, relying on the stock market for anything lately, I think is a bigger risk to lose than it is to gain. I mean, saving $600 or $776, I mean, would be awesome. But if, you know, if rates went up and, you know, that potential savings is less, then, you know, I don't know. I'd like to see, you know, maybe not from like now to March of numbers to decide, but maybe a shorter window, so you can start looking at other avenues as well for, you know, is it really that cost, is the cost benefit really there? I mean, I'm all about saving, you know, I see the $776, and that's a good chunk of change for energy usage, but the stock market being volatile, is that $776 really gonna turn out to be $150? I mean, and then at that point, was it?
And that 150 can go to the Parks and Rec, though.
It could, it very well could. It could. Exactly.
Am I allowed to speak to?
Please.
Okay, so, yeah, I understand what you're saying as far as the reduction in savings, but right now as it stands, you're in a position where a volunteer can do anything. I mean, they can raise it to whatever. This is sort of a cap. So keep in mind, you're with the choice program right now. You just don't, they just don't have any parameters that they've given you.
And we have no crystal ball, so.
Right. And I was gonna ask Jackie that same question, with the program that we're in currently now, do you see a difference in the prices in the learn ones, or do they kinda keep it at a level base for us? I mean, do they rate theirs off the stock market as well?
Well, and this is what the schools have as well. I mean, we did not put them with Volunteer. Volunteer used to be a company that we represented, but we no longer do. But yeah, Mrs. Invernoni researched this really well. We've crunched the numbers, and then I also worked a little bit with Charles Hart. Craig Hart. Matt Hart.
One of the last comment I would make, Mr. President, is that I think the school districts come to us as a partnership, which I think is a good thing that we need to have. I don't think they would be trying to bring us into something that's gonna cost money. I think it'd be, a worthwhile opportunity to give it a try for the March 17th deadline. Give us an idea of what's gonna happen in the future.
It's only 4 months, basically.
Right.
We can pull out at that point. That's kind of how I look at it. Anybody else? And I'm looking for a motion.
How do I make the motion on it? What do you want me to make it as? I don't know the name of the company.
Brio.
Brio? Make a motion that,
BRIO Energy Corporation.
make a motion we go with Brio Energy Corporation, pending the attorney's approval of the contract.
Support.
Horton,
Yes.
McCaffrey,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Vic,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Can I have clarification of that motion? Was that through March or was that?
Yes, through March
Oh,
of 2017.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
The next one is our land division application.
I don't know if the applicant's here.
Is there anyone here that represents this land division? Let's push forward regardless. So this is the land division application 02-21-200-008 on Eagle Road, Future Holdings LLC. And we're looking at the Eagle Road and the 4 lots that they have proposed for the parcel division. Council, questions?
Mr. President, if you're looking for someone to start, I'd be more than happy to.
Please.
So, a couple of things I had concerns with one of the residents did. I was kind of looking at this too with the acreage, really knowing what the approval was going to be for the overall lot size and then what the breakdown was going to be. I also looked into our master plan that we have, and in that master plan, it shows that area as a very low density single-family resident. With very low density residential being larger lots and lower density residential in outlying areas of the village. The way I'm reading that is, for me, I think I would like to see if a split was gonna happen, that these would be either one big, which wouldn't be a split, or a 2 parcel lot, and keep the form of our houses that are going up there. They're not stacked right on top of each other. I think that would be a better look. Also, I think we should probably table this until we actually get the recommendation from Wade Trim to see what the lots are actually going to be. I don't think we should be approving anything until we really know what we're going to approve. I know there's sewers issues that we're going to probably be discussing later after this, depending on what takes place on here. To me, I just don't think this is the right time where we have even enough information to go forward.
The actual lot sizes, I do believe, do they not fall into our definition of lot sizes in the village?
Very low density residential. They have to be an acre.
And they are,
And they do.
and they are a little over it.
They have the right to come in and ask for the land division
Land division split.
under very low density.
If I may, where did you, because in the master plan, I couldn't see anything that actually states acreage, and the one from 1990 it does, but our updated one, I could not find it.
If you look in the ordinance, I didn't bring my ordinance, it has a chart of account, or chart that tells you what the
All right,
size.
so it got pulled out of the master plan, and it's being
It's
stated.
not in the master plan.
It's in the ordinance.
It's in the-
Okay, thank you.
The lot sizes as proposed are legal in the village. If we go forward with this, it has to be pending Wade Trim's acceptance of the proposal and the actual descriptions of the parcels as presented.
Does Wade Trim also do soil samples and stability of the property for future buildings?
No, that's not our responsibility.
And who would that
When they
responsible?
do that at the building department. You're looking at doing a land division, and there's sewers after this. Once that takes place, then Wade Trim will review what was submitted to us. And again, this is all on the escrow account that we have received from the applicant. We don't pay for this. So they don't pay for it until, we don't do that. The step is that it goes before the planning commission, it goes before the council. You approve it conditioned upon if there's an attorney review or a wage room review, then we spend the money. I mean, it's not gonna go there off of my desk if it doesn't meet the requirements, which we've had that before. It doesn't. So the lot sizes are bigger actually than the lots that are going west on Eagle Road. I mean, they go way back, so they have acreage back there, but as far as the frontage on Eagle Road, the lots prior to that are smaller lots than what these would be, because this changes into very low density residential at this particular property. That makes sense.
Well, and then my concern looking at those lots up there, what is the actual buildable space? Because if you.
They have to go by setbacks. The setbacks for front yard setback, rear yard setback, and each side yard setback, it has to fit within the building envelope that would be created by the ordinance again.
I don't know, I'd say without being disrespectful, I'm gonna try to do my best. My concerns is it's obvious that was some kind of a old dumping grounds way back in the day. There's a lot of concrete on the backside of that, there was some holes that I think we had taken care of. I have concerns that us doing this is going to allow a potential buyer to possibly build on something that's not stable. I would prefer, before we allow this to happen, I think the ground could probably handle 1 or 2. I don't know if they can handle 4. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a builder, I'm not trying to pretend to, I just have concerns here. That we have an actual study done by the building department to come out and see if a building can actually be placed on those lots. Again, I'm not trying to discourage the seller, I like people to make money. You know, I'm not trying to, prevent us from splitting lots, what some means, I just don't want to get in a predicament that we trying to tread lightly here, what we're currently in.
And I can tell you as a contractor that homes can be built just about any place. They can be built on swales, on swamps, on stable ground. There are things that have to be done to make them to where they can support the weight. Pilings would be an example. I wouldn't believe that we would be responsible. I guess it'd be buyer beware would be the whole thing here. If there's any way that we could put something out to where, it used to be that, look out, I don't know. I don't know if it'd be any of our business. The building department would have to come out there and upon looking at the basement home, make his recommendations for, there are companies that can come out and they can find out if the soil is suitable for a building, or they can engineer to where it can be made, to where it can be built on. As far as what's buried in there, I've lived here my whole life, drove by it a bunch of times, really couldn't say for sure. I do know that there is concrete in there. What else is in there? I have no idea. I was there when they did the preliminary, couple of perk tests, they dug down there 6 foot. It was clay, that's all I can tell you. What's below that, I have no idea. Typically, rule of thumb is it takes 20 years for clay to achieve compaction. It's a general rule of thumb. Doesn't mean an awful lot other than that.
Now, not to jump ahead on the agenda, but for the sewer extension, that's kind of playing a part into what we're discussing here. Would that be correct? Okay. So, under the new business for the planning meeting that they had, planning commission meeting, it says to recommend approval to council conditioned on review by Wade Trim and the applicant providing documentation from the county health department and suitability of land for safe installation of septic and well facilities. So what direction are we looking to approve these 4 lots on if we're waiting for the direction from Wade Trim for septic and well? Or are we doing the sewers?
Gotta be careful how we get our horse here in front of us.
Yeah, and
If it's sanitary, the sewers don't come into play.
It would be conditioned upon either hooking all 4 lots, if that's where you wanted to go, to the sewer, or all 4 lots would be perked, if they perk, if they don't perk,
Yep.
they don't build on them.
And I understand that, and what I'm kind of getting at is I think we need to know what can happen either way before we really move forward to approve these 4 lots, whether they're gonna have septics or if they're going to have, you know, the sewers.
I think they all should be sewers. They all should be sewers, because if you allow it to go in there and then it don't work, you got the same problem coming to this board as over Atlas Estates, where they built that on Berry Road. That system over there has failed. They're gonna be in here wanting sewers, and my suggestion is, no.
I believe that you talked, Mrs. Sidge, to some people in Flint on their recommendation. Once again, we're kind of getting
Right.
the front horse here, but hold on. The recommendations from the county was,
I met with John O'Brien at the county, and his recommendation is you either have them hook up all 4 lots, if that's what happens, to the sewer, or they don't hook up any lots. And again, that's something that is determined when the building application is applied for. If the building inspector, I mean, he can't go out there and look at those lots and say, you can build, you can't build. What he does is when, like Mr. Loveland said, when they start digging a basement, if he sees that the soil's not satisfactory, then he either makes them, he might have them drill a hole, however deep it might be, to see what the soils are. He might find out at the time that they build, or they dig the basement, and at that time, whatever tests have to be done, whether they're compacting tests or, Mark would know the names of those tests better than I would, he would order those at that time. The building application would be stopped at that point until those tests have been done. And if they're never done, they don't build anymore. So it's not your responsibility, I mean, it is as a council, to make this determination, but as far as the steps that go with building a house on that property, that falls back to the building department. And if he sees that it's not right, he may send it back to the planning commission, or may send it back to you guys.
And I appreciate that explanation, Jackie, and that's kind of what I'm getting at, because it's almost, if we're kind of doing this out of order, and I say that because we're doing the recommended approval by the council, waiting on Wade and Trim for the safe installation of septic and well, and then yet we have another option that we're gonna possibly extend the sewers. So how I'm reading this, what the planning commission is providing us is they want us to go forth with a 4-parcel split with the condition of a septic and well. States nothing to have to do with sewers.
but we can change it any way we want.
Yeah, you could do whatever you want.
We have the liberty to, we can take the planning commission's words and we can say, okay, and then we can expand upon that. And once again, that would be my recommendation, is that we make in time to the sanitaries on all 4 lots.
Wouldn't that be, kind of be our safeguard if they can't get the septic and well, then it comes back and says, okay, we're gonna split these 4 parcels with sewers on here? And now we have a reason of extending the sewers?
The sewers.
Because my concerns is, if you have, this thing comes back and says you can have septic and well, and we approve these, and you have somebody buy right here in the middle and says, well, you've already approved this, saying I can have septic and well. I don't want septic and well, and this guy's
Our
gonna have
wording
sewer.
has to be that, they have to tie into the sewers. If it goes in front of their house, I believe that is in our charter, that they have 6 months to hook. They have to hook into the sanitary. They would not have an option of the septic system.
When it went before the planning commission, there was discussion about extending the sewer, but decisions have not been made entirely, so they can't give approval to hook to the sanitary sewer, the council has to do that.
Mrs. McCafferty, you're quiet.
I am, I'm processing this. I have a general question outside of, sewers and septic systems. The property owner has this piece of property and he from lot sizes, from, what people have said, he meets the requirements per ordinances to have this property split. My concern is we say no to the property owner wanting to split his property, and then the village is hit with legal ramifications because of that. Because he met the requirements to split the property regardless if there was gonna be sewers or septics. I mean, we're assuming he's gonna put homes here. Let's be honest, we're assuming that somebody is gonna put homes here, but what if they came in and put 4 barns there that didn't require sewers and septics? But, I mean, is by not allowing a property owner to do what they came in legally with to do, is that setting us up for something? Because I don't think anybody in the village, and I haven't asked, but I can't imagine that anybody would be okay with the possibility of yet another lawsuit and the possibility of the village being responsible to pay for something else. So looking at it from, the property owner's perspective, I mean, if it's split and if he can put homes on all 4, wonderful. If he can't, well, like Mark had said, that's their problem. That's not our problem.
Mark, if they put 4 there and say the 3rd or the 4th one, they can't get enough fall to the sewer, can they pump it?
They could, but that would all come with the engineering, and we would want to make sure of that before we okayed that. The location of where their tank would go, and I assume he's gonna gravity from the top of the hill where the siren is, if we can use that, bearing and coming to the west, I would assume he would gravity into a tank there, grinder, injection pump on up to the top of the hill, and it would probably go up to Mr. Gordon's old house, Pete, which is kind of across from the siren. Somebody knows as far as where I'm at geographically. I assume that's how they would propose it. I don't.
John O'Brien said we would have to put a pump station in.
They'd have to lift it. I don't think that they would go the other way as in down Schuman Drive. Possible, but I doubt it.
Well, that can be part of your motion that they have to go on Eagle Road, if that's what you wanted them to do.
Well, that or let the engineering go with the easiest way, because normally the easiest way, is the cheapest way, and it's gonna end up being the best way. I'll let the engineers determine that. As far as the other residents, and I'm going to get my home, I gotta stay on this first. The land parcel, council, we have to look at the restrictions that we would put on him for the division of the property. I guess that's where we're at. The sanitary we have to talk about again here in just a second. Let's
Well, I guess,
stay focused on one thing.
and I guess to Shannon's point, that if we were not to allow him, and he did follow the rules, and yet we put a stipulation on there saying that, okay, we're not going to extend it 2 lots, but he had to do 4 lots and install the pump. It's my understanding, talking with the drain commissioner, that the developer would be in control, or not in control, but responsible for that pump installation as well.
He would, yes.
Right, and if he comes back and says, well, I don't want to put all that in there, does he have any legal ramifications on that to come back on us and saying you're putting too much, you know,
I wouldn't think so.
You're restricting it too much.
right?
I think by everybody having sewer up there, those 4 lots, you're protecting the people who live there, because if you put sewers up there, I just look for something that's gonna fail, especially if they have to engineer systems fail.
All right, let's stay on target here with the division first. I guess once again, in closing, just making sure that we need to put stipulations in the sanitary, that's all. And the review of weight trim, the parcels do meet our requirements as far as lot sizes.
And then again, this, when we're talking about sanitary sewers, is stopping at Schuman Drive, because there's been plenty of meetings where residents of Schuman Drive have been against sewer extensions down their road because they've got septics that work just fine. So we are stopping this at Eagle Road and Schuman Drive.
Well, I would, for right, we're right back in, we're talking 2 different things here. We
I
gotta
know
talk
that
about
we're talking 2
sanitary here
different
in a
things, but there's
second.
a gentleman out here in the audience who lives on Schuman Drive and is concerned about this, and then there's also been
I guess
other,
we might as well throw our cards out here, because, yeah, all
then
right.
there's been
It
other
would be-
residents too.
I would like to see the sanitaries go down there per their engineering and our weight trim acceptance. At whatever location they want to, whether it's on the east side or west side of Schuman, whatever they want to do. But that's up to them, their engineering, at no cost to the residents of the village of Goodrich. And then, we have an ordinance that once the sanitary comes in front of your house, you have 6 months to hook up to. I would like to see the residents that are there, no matter where this thing might go, you do not have any time restraints on when you have to tie into the sanitary. When your system fails, you have the option, not an option, then you would be required to tie into the sanitaries. Which, believe me, in the long run, would be cheaper than putting in a new system. Okay, now we've jumped all over the place, that I wasn't gonna do, but I've done it.
I think that might make some people breathe a little bit easier.
I've talked to people along the road there, and those people would like that option because they have older homes, and they know that their systems are functioning now, but they don't know how long they're gonna function. Knowing that they're there is gonna make them sleep easier at night, but they don't have to tie into it immediately.
Okay, well, at one of the meetings that I was at, it was the assumption that you're putting them there and I have to tie into it, and I have a septic system, and it works just fine, and I don't want to.
And
So I
correct
think
me,
this should clear, it's made it clearer for me.
and
You have to change the
correct.
Okay.
But we wouldn't have to change the ordinance until all of this division met our okay in the long run, right?
well, that would be an ideal situation, but
No, we'd have to change it first.
when you better up to it.
Like next month. So it is. I think that makes it fair for the residents and for those that are down on Schuman Drive, which it may or may not go that way. You know, it could, but it doesn't mean that they're going to. I would assume that the developer is going to want to go with the most inexpensive way. That could be going down Schuman Drive. But if it goes down Schuman Drive, you wouldn't be required to tie into it until your system failed.
And I think on that, some would argue that the cost to replace it can be cheaper if, depending on what your monthly bill is gonna be there and how long you're gonna be living in that home.
Well, it depends on how long you're gonna live there, no question. But let's also look at the amenity that you have too. You know, if you're selling your house, it is an amenity to be tied into the sanitary.
But, and to back up, we're not discussing any sewers to go down Schuman Drive. It would stop at the corner of Schuman and Eagle there. That was my understanding with.
And what I'm saying, or I guess I wasn't very clear, is I would leave that up to their engineering, how the engineers would engineer the system. It might be the best way is to go down Schuman, I don't know. It seems like it would be shorter and less money to go to the top of the hill, but engineers do pretty strange things, what I'm telling you. I guess what I'm saying is I would just leave it to the liberty of the developer and the engineers to figure their most effective way upon our acceptance of their proposal too.
Okay, so then if I may, to go back to one of our residents' questions, do we know what the actual lot size is here? Is it 4.1, is it 5, or is it 6.8? I think
Until
Jackie.
Waitrim reviews it.
So, I don't,
It's conditioned upon them meeting the legal,
Right.
the legal requirement. The legal lot size requirement for a village, low density, or very low density residential. If it doesn't meet that when he's done doing everything, then the rest of the stuff doesn't make a difference.
Nope. And he's gotta do 3 lots. Or withdraw. He has to
He'll be
be,
back at the planning commission asking for 3 lots if it doesn't meet.
when's Waitrim looking at this?
Not until it's approved by the council.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. So, the gentleman's selling a piece of property, wanting to split it, and he doesn't even know how big it is. And the township has something else on date. And we want to send the approval to Wade Trim to meet these standards as long as he has the appropriate lot size. Why wouldn't we just wait and ask Wade Trim, if the developer's paying for this, say, hey, we need to know how big this lot actually is. We know, then we can actually look at this and move forward properly. I mean, I'm
They're
not.
taking the, how it says exactly, someone that came to the planning commission brought up these other dimensions. I don't know what kind of requirements he followed, what kind of job he does. Somebody throw out some numbers. I don't know where he got them.
but he is putting up the money, Mr. Beck, and if it doesn't meet the requirements, he's the one that lost the money at that point. We have to take his money basically before we can go forward with it, the way I see it.
I got his money.
Let's spend it. We have to make sure that it was pending, you know, Wade Trim's acceptance and it meets our standards.
Do we know when Waitrim is actually gonna look at this?
Until after, if you guys table it, then until after it comes back to you. If you wanna send it back to the planning commission for them to look at something else, you can do that. Again, this is a process that we follow. Once it goes and gets approved, then we send it out for Waitrim to take a look at. The county would be looking at whatever proposal he has. If the sewers are gonna go there, Waitrim will look at the proposal for the sewer. I mean, that would be like asking them to give us all that stuff before you approve it. And that costs a lot of money for them to do that. Not that you can't make them, but
We're approving it pending, that's as simple as it
pending
is.
that they submit this.
I think we need to approve it, because if you don't, you're gonna end up in court. We
They
don't wanna
have
go to
the,
court.
they have the legal right to ask for 4 lot splits, providing it meets the legal requirement per the ordinance, which is 1 acre lots.
You give him the right to go ahead, and he can't come up with the lots, and he's gotta come back again.
The county is the one that sold the lots to him, and they had it listed at over 5 acres.
And these lots are gonna be the purpose for single residence homes.
I'm sorry, what?
These lots will be the purpose for single resident homes.
Yes.
Well, then with the motion that's about to be made, are you gonna put the stipulation, for the sewer lines to be ran for all 4 lots?
That's down in the next part.
No, I understand that. I mean, what I'm getting at, if this thing goes through and it checks out and the acreage is there and he gets to have it, and now we're gonna send him another motion saying, okay, now you gotta meet this requirement of having, you know, sewers coming all the way down and you're gonna put a pump station in, why wouldn't that be on one motion?
They're asking permission to extend the sewer system. What you're doing is giving them permission to extend the sewer system to accommodate the 4 lots. And you can put the pending on there again, pending legal description review by the village engineer.
But they are 2 different issues here. First one is the land division application. So are we all understanding what we're
Yeah.
doing here? Because we're jumped all over the place here. Any other comments?
Well, the land division application has come first, what do you think?
Correct.
And from that, then we can adjust it one way or the other.
How do we want to do it? Do we want a motion to go forward with it, or kick the can around?
Do it again, but leave the sewers out, and I'll second it. The sewers is on number 9. No, we can't put them both together, but when he reads it, they are together. I guess that's the way it's gotta go. But I think we have to approve it to let him go forward. But we could put stipulation that we want all sewers there. Which I think is the correct way to go to protect the homeowners, whoever that may be. If somebody's gonna be sitting here 10, 11 years from now, or 8 years from now, and that thing failed, they're gonna be saying, well, how come you let this happen? Let's not let it happen, let's do it the correct way. Sewers are the correct way for that piece of property, and it's there, so we have to put a pump station in. We got pump stations down in Dutch Road, we got pump stations at school, we got pump stations in Atlas. They can be maintained when the power's off. And there's a pump station over here off Eagle Road. Another one too, so.
Council, what are we gonna do? Looking for a motion.
Make a motion that we approve application, land division application 02-21-200-008.
Support.
Let's wait a second, we need a little more on this motion, so let's protect ourselves with pending.
Wade Trim's findings, is that what you want?
Conditioned upon the review of Wade Trim to make sure the lots
Meet our
meet the
village.
requirements for the very low density residential.
Okay.
You get all that, Pat? It took 4 of us.
Make sure the lots
Anybody know what behind me do?
on the wage trim review
That's what happens when we get old.
meet the ordinance.
I'll just write that.
I'll put the ordinance number and all that other stuff. in.
If you
Okay,
could,
that was
Pat, please read that back before we vote on that, please.
Pete, what it said, to approve the land division application conditioned upon Wade Trim's review to make sure that the lots meet the ordinance. I will put in the ordinance number and all that other stuff, but that's what you're.
Yes?
Okay.
Any other discussion on this? Well, we didn't support it. I'll support that.
Rick supported it before you.
Okay, Rick, good.
Don't
Now, is there any
take
other
away
further,
his thunder.
is there any further discussion?
Just one more clarification, if I may. The planning commission sent it to us for the land division application with the recommendation that does discuss Wade Trim doing the inspection, if you will, or certification of installation of septics and wells. Are we now not doing that?
The wells be done by the health department. Genesee County Health Department doesn't have, we have nothing to do with that. And septic systems, we're gonna go forward here in a minute and do the sewers, that doesn't matter. Sanitaries will take care of the septic system part of it.
Okay. And I get what you're saying, to me, it feels like we're going against what the planning commission has asked for.
They didn't deliberate on the extension of the sewer system. They can't. So at this point, if the sewer system is not granted to them, then it would be conditioned upon getting the well and it perking. But again, that happens when you get your building application. We don't give a building permit out if they don't buy a sewer, they don't get a well permit from the county, or they don't get a septic. Which we haven't had septic for a while.
Does that clear up any questions we have there?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, if we're jumped that hurdle, roll call please.
Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes. Okay. Now the sewer extension. And once again, we want to make sure, I believe that we should do all 4 lots, and that the residents in the area that can tie into it, there's no time restraints, and we're gonna have to redo that on our ordinance. Now, Mrs. Such, can you make a motion along that line before we change our ordinance? Should we word a motion to where it would be
We can condition it upon the ordinance, the sewer ordinance being changed to
accommodate what we're talking about? Please, comments.
So from my understanding, you're proposing that we extend it for all 4 lots. There's gonna have to be a pump there, naturally. I'm getting that from the county. With the condition of the ordinance, of a future ordinance change to where the residents that are in the measurement area, if you will, do not have to tie into it until there's previous system that they have fails. Is that what I'm understanding?
If that's what you're gonna put in the ordinance, that's what your goal is.
I think it's a fair one.
How
What
it
is
we
that?
don't know what they failed. but-
Is that 500 feet? Is that what we're asking? If you're within 500 feet of the sanitary, you have to tie in?
If you're lot, it's-
If your lot is within 500 feet.
And within that ordinance, we could also discuss the footage requirement as well.
Is that something we can do, or do we have to go through Genesee County to change that one?
Our ordinance is the same as Genesee County, so I was surprised when you mentioned what you mentioned the other day. Jeff said we can do it, and the township has 300 feet, the village is 500, the county's ordinance is 500.
I think as long as we have it in there to where it's upon, there's no time restraints on the failure of your system. I mean,
Obviously, they let it be 300 because the township was 300. But that's not what the county sent to us when we did it, however many years ago that was.
I thought it was 600 feet. 500 is good enough. Discussion, let's go.
Should we, I'm trying to get this down ahead of time, conditioned on the sewer ordinance is being changed to allow current residents within the 500-foot parameter to keep their current system until it should fail, or should the resident choose
Correct.
to tie in? I mean, that way, they don't have to wait for it
Good
to, if
point.
they choose to.
Well, you're still
So
gonna
that would
give
be
them
the
a
condition.
choice.
Hmm?
We're still gonna give them a choice. Either
Exactly.
they want to do it, or this hang
Some
in
might
where we are.
want to tie in.
I guess the only thing I could say on top of that is to where this is no cost to the residents either. This is all done by the developer.
No.
With the, if for existing resident though, tying into that, the developer wouldn't be covering that. I'm getting a
No, he's got
clarification.
6 months.
Okay.
Only the existing residents, and we have to make sure that's probably in there.
Now you got me confused. So if the existing resident only has 6 months, then how can we not have a time constraint?
No, the existing residents have no time restraints.
Right, exactly.
It's the new
Well, and-
homes, they
no.
have, they got time immediately.
Right, but I thought you
Right.
said it'd be no cost to the residents, it's gonna be the developer, and what I'm trying to clarify is the existing resident is at their cost, the developer's not gonna tie them in. That's what I'm hearing. Thank you.
So basically, it would be per review by Wade Trim and Genesee County Water and Waste to extend the village sewer system to accommodate the 4 lots on Kegel Road. And I don't know if Mark wants to put some other area in there now.
I mean, if you're.
He's not going to do that, it was like $95,000 for
No, it should be the developer's option which way he wants to go, which is the most effective way for the developer. I don't think we should make him go any further. But my only comment was that, you know, he may decide it could be cheaper to go down Schuman Drive rather than go up, I wouldn't think so, but it could be.
I don't know what pump station.
Well, with that discussion, to me, the motion should read, and don't write this down, I'm not making a motion, but the motion should read something along the lines that it's only going down in front of those 4 lots and stopping at Schuman Drive. That's the contingency, is it stops at Schuman Drive. There is no option to go down Schuman Drive. You're gonna have whoever lives down Schuman Drive
What
come
they're
up
saying
here.
is that they could go down Schuman Drive, and if you change the ordinance, then the people that live down there, if the gentleman simply failed and wanted to hook up, then he could hook up in 10 years.
You
I
have a
mean, that's what
choice.
he's saying.
And that's what it is, you have the option of, you know,
Eventual hookup, not immediate.
which,
But we're not requiring the gentleman to go down Schuman.
you probably won't. I guess if you want to, you can always review that in the future too.
Went down another road, they have a new road. What they did in the village.
Anything else we want to add to whatever this is that we just wrote down? And you got to repeat this, please.
Okay, you want to approve the extension of the sewers to Eagle and Schuman, or do you just want to leave that part out, discuss it? Per review of Wade Trim and GC Wawa, which is Genesee County Water and Waste, of the, their review of the site, and conditioned on the sewer ordinance being changed to allow current residents in the 500-foot parameter to keep their current system until it should fail, or should the resident choose to tie into the system. Now, if they're going to put it out to Schuman Drive, which will probably be, that would make the most sense, that's the way the rest of them run. Now, if they found for some reason, oh, it's gonna be a lot easier if we just went up Schuman, and those people didn't have to tie in until their system failed, wouldn't it be cheaper down the road if the developer had already put that main pipe in there and you didn't have to pay for that?
I think it's unlikely that they're gonna go down Schuman Drive, but, you know,
I do
my whole
too,
thing is
but
that
my
if they
thought
wanted
was
to,
that-
and if this comes up, we can always redo this, we can revisit this, and change it. This at least lets him have the option, he knows he can have his sanitary. The other people that are in the immediate area know that they don't have to pay up front, and they can pay when they want to, no time restraints.
The motion should state to accommodate the 4 lots, though. Not,
right.
because they were
It's
talking about 2.
To approve the sewer extension, which I haven't written down yet,
You want it for the land division or?
to accommodate,
So there's nothing on here, just find it.
do we define the, and the 4 lots, and you can give me the, yeah.
I should take a paragraph or two.
Could you read the motion one more time? I just want to make sure we got it. That's a hard one to
Okay.
remember.
It's so scribbled now, I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, the only thing you really added is to, to approve the extension of the sewers, to accommodate the 4 lots. I will put in
Go
this.
to 21,200.
Right,
Yep.
yeah, noted in
Parcel.
or whatever, I'll come up with the wording for that particular, they're only for this. And then, and it's, per review by Wayne Trim and Genesee County, and that conditioned on the sewer ordinance being changed to allow the current residents in the 500-foot parameter, and I'm assuming that it's 500 feet, nothing else, okay, to keep their current systems until they should fail or they should choose to tie into the system.
Support.
Okay, that was good.
Thank you for being quick.
You're welcome.
Well, gotcha.
Write that down, would you?
Roll call, please.
I scribbled over their names. Horton,
Yes.
McCafferty,
Yes.
Maury,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Mr. Goldberg, Michelle from the school is here to talk about the Free Oak Energy. If you want to back up for a second.
Why not?
Pretty brave to come back here.
Well, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Goodrich Area Schools, I am here this evening to offer my endorsement of a proposal which would combine natural gas pricing to Goodrich Area Schools, Atlas Township, and the Village of Goodrich based on combined usage. I believe the potential savings to all 3 entities offers not only positive financial results, but also lends itself to our increased collaborative endeavors as a community. In the event, the independent financial review of this program does not reflect significant cost savings for the township or the village, I certainly am respectful of any decision that is in the best interest of our community partners.
Send me one tomorrow.
I'll send you one tomorrow.
Council, any questions?
No.